for exposing my mom in court when she tried to take my inheritance? My name is Nicole Parker, and I am 27 years old. 3 days ago my dad died of a heart attack in his office just like that, without warning. One moment he was reviewing some papers for a construction project, and the next he was gone. The paramedics said it was fast. I guess that should make me feel better, but it does not. I organized everything by myself. The funeral home, the flowers, the service, the plot at the cemetery. My dad had money, so I was able to give him the farewell he deserved. His business partners attended, people he had worked with for years building homes and office buildings all over Dallas and the metropolitan area. Friends from his country club also arrived. Even several workers from his construction sites took the time to say their last goodbyes. Everyone kept telling me the same thing. That he was a good man, that when someone got into trouble he would find a way to help, that he provided stable jobs, that he kept his word. The ceremony was nice. The pastor spoke of his generosity and the love he had for his family, or what was left of it, rather, just me. My grandmother had died 2 years earlier, and after my mom left, she was the only other person my dad truly cared about. I was standing by the grave watching them lower the casket when I heard someone say my name. Nicole. I turned around and froze. There she was, my mom, a few feet away with a man I did not recognize at first, and 3 kids. The oldest looked about 16 and the youngest about 10. They were all dressed in dark clothes, as if they had some right to be there. I had not seen her in 20 years. She looked older, of course, with shorter, darker hair, a bit heavier, but it was her. "What are you doing here?" I asked her. My voice came out dry. "And how did you find out he died?" "I did not let you know. Some relatives told me." The man with her put a hand on her shoulder. Tall, receding hairline, cheap suit, and an uncomfortable look on his face. He had to be the same guy she had left us for so many years ago. The 3 kids stood behind them, tense, as if they did not quite understand why they were at a stranger's funeral. "I cannot believe you did not tell me," she said. "He was my husband too." I laughed right then and there, next to my dad's grave. "You left your husband 20 years ago. You left us both." In that moment it all came rushing back to me. I was 7 years old when it happened. My dad had gone to Austin for work to check out a piece of land for a construction project. He was only going to be away for 2 days. My mom waited for my dad's car to pull out of the driveway. As soon as he turned the corner, she started packing things into suitcases. I remember asking her where she was going. "Mom has to go away for a while," she told me. "You stay here. Your dad will be back later." But she did not wait for him. She packed 2 suitcases, left a note on the dining room table, and left. Just like that, she closed the door and got into her car. She left me alone in the house for 2 whole days. I was scared to death. I had cereal for breakfast, cereal for lunch, cereal for dinner. I did not know how to make anything else. I spent my time watching television and waiting for someone to walk through the door. The whole time I thought she was going to come back, that she had realized she forgot something, that at any moment she was going to open the door and tell me she was back. She did not come back. When my dad returned, he found me in the living room wearing the same clothes from 2 days before. I ran to hug him, crying, telling him that my mom had left. He read the note. I never knew what it said, but I saw the color drain from his face. He crumpled it up and threw it in the trash can. "Your mom is over for us," he said. More for him than for me. After that, everything happened fast. My dad talked to his lawyer, started the divorce, and did what was necessary to keep me. My mom was supposed to show up in court for the divorce and custody proceedings, but she never went. My dad got full custody. She disappeared from our lives legally, too. Sometime later, when I was older, my dad told me the truth. My mom had been involved with another man from her workplace. They had been planning to leave together for some time. They were just waiting for the right moment. And for them, the right moment was when my dad went on a trip and I was left alone and defenseless. And now there she was 20 years later with that man and the 3 children she had with him, as if she had some right to stand in front of my dad's grave. "Nicole, these are your siblings," she said, pointing to the kids. "This is Brandon, this is Lily, and the youngest is Tyler." They looked back at me with that uncomfortable curiosity of someone who knows something important is happening, but nobody explains it well to them. "I do not care," I said. I turned around and walked toward my car. I heard her say my name several times, but I did not turn around. I had nothing to talk to her about. She made that decision a long time ago, and now it was her turn to live with it. As I was driving back to my condo, everything my dad and I had been through hit me all at once. In the beginning, it was very difficult. He was devastated, although he almost never said it. He buried himself in work so he would not think about what had happened. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, his mom, who moved in with us to help take care of me. But the company started to grow. All that anger and pain he carried inside, my dad channeled into his work. He started getting bigger contracts. He started earning much more. We left the house in Irving, and years later we moved to a large home in Plano. He never remarried, never even had a serious relationship. Although there was no shortage of interested women, he said that with me he had enough family. I studied business administration with his support. When I graduated, he bought me a condo in uptown Dallas. I got a good job, although in reality I did not depend on that salary to live. When my grandmother died, she left me her savings, a little over $150,000, and also her house. I sold the house, invested that money carefully, and with the returns plus what I got from the sale, I built an estate that gave me peace of mind. If one day I wanted to slow down, I could do so without drowning financially. Still, I liked working, having a routine, feeling like I was doing my own thing, and now he was gone too. Well, not entirely. He left me everything. The company, the house, the cars, the accounts, the investments. I found a copy of his will in his desk drawer, and Eric Lawson, the lawyer who had been working with him for years, had the rest perfectly in order with the notary. It was clear, straightforward, everything for me. I guess my mom found out somehow, and that is why she showed up at the funeral, not because it hurt her that he had died, but because she wanted to know how much she could get out of all that. A few days passed after the burial, and I tried to go back to something resembling normalcy. Normalcy is a very relative word when the world has just crashed down on you. I had to attend to the company matters, review assets, sort out paperwork, and talk to accountants, lawyers, and bank people. I decided not to sell the construction company. My dad had built it from scratch, and it felt like a betrayal to get rid of it. Kevin Brooks, who had been with him for 15 years, knew the company better than anyone. My dad trusted him completely. With the help of the lawyer and the accounting department, we made it official for him to head the operation as chief executive officer while I remained the owner. Seemed like the right thing to do. On a Tuesday afternoon around 3, I was in my condo going over my dad's papers when the doorbell rang. I was not expecting anyone, so I looked through the peephole first. It was her. This time she came alone, without a husband, without kids. She was wearing jeans, a light-colored sweater, and that nervous expression people get when they want to enter a conversation they do not deserve. I opened the door, but I did not invite her in. "What do you want? Can I come in? Just for a few minutes. I am not here to fight." Going against my instinct, I stepped aside and let her in. She walked into the living room and looked closely at everything. The furniture, the large windows, the paintings, the tidiness. It was too obvious she was sizing things up. "It is very pretty," she said. "How did you get my address?" "By asking around. Some of your dad's relatives gave it to me." "Perfect." Now she was tracking me through the family too. "What do you want?" I repeated. She sat on my couch without me offering her a seat. "Nicole, I know this is not the best time. I know you are carrying a lot right now. I just wanted to talk to you." I said nothing. "Many years have passed," she continued. "And even if you do not believe me, sometimes I thought about looking for you. Many times." I stared at her. I did not even pretend to believe her. "But since we are talking, I also have to be honest. I know you inherited a lot of money from your dad, and also from your grandmother." I felt my stomach tie in knots. "And I think you should share a part of that estate with your family." I looked at her without blinking. "My family?" "Yes, with me and your siblings. With Brandon, Lily, and Tyler. Those kids you saw at the funeral are your half-siblings, Nicole." I let out a short laugh. Not because it was funny, but because if I did not laugh, I think I would have thrown something at her. "Are you seriously saying this?" "Of course I am. You are alone, you have no children, you have no one to support. You have a huge estate, and I am struggling to raise 3 kids on my husband's salary." I leaned forward to see if I understood correctly. You abandoned me when I was 7 years old. You left me alone in a house for 2 days. You did not call, you did not write, you did not send a message, you did not send a birthday card. You did not ask how I was doing a single time in 20 years, and now you come to ask me for money. She felt a little ashamed, very little. It barely lasted. Then she lifted her head and got defensive. I never loved your dad, Nicole. I could not live with him anymore, but I knew he was going to take care of you. You were always his absolute joy. You left because you wanted to start a new life with someone else, and did not want the burden of a child. Her face turned red. That is not true. No? Then tell me why you did not fight for custody. Tell me why you did not even show up in court. She did not answer. And now, I continued. Now that my dad is dead and you know he left me everything, suddenly you remember you have a daughter, suddenly you want a relationship, but deep down what you want is money. It is not just about the money. I did not believe a word she said. Of course it was about the money. You did not love my dad, but what he left behind sure is convenient for you. She tried to change her strategy. Those kids are not to blame for anything. Brandon wants to go to college and we do not know how we are going to do it. Lily needs braces. Tyler has learning disabilities and requires special support. They are your siblings. No, they are your children with the man you left us for. They are nothing to me. How can you be so cold? Cold? You come to talk to me about coldness. You left a little girl alone for 2 days. You never came back for her. And now you show up to demand money from me. That is coldness. She stood up annoyed. You have hundreds of thousands of dollars, Nicole, much more than one single person needs. I am just asking you for help with my children's school, and for basic things. Then ask their dad for it. Ask your husband. Do not ask the daughter you left behind. Your dad turned you against me. My dad never spoke badly about you. He did not have to. What you did was enough. That is when I saw her get desperate. Nicole, please, she said. I am begging you. Think about it. They are struggling and for you it would be a tiny fraction of what you have. I walked toward the door. Do you know what the hardest part of listening to you is? That you speak as if you were a great mother now, as if the future of your kids keeps you up at night. But when I was 7 years old, you cared so little about your daughter that you left me alone, scared. Waiting for someone who never came back. I was very young. I made a mistake. I opened the door. Just leave. She walked toward the exit and before crossing the threshold she shot me a harsh look. This will not stay like this. Those kids deserve something better. Yes, they deserve a mother who does not abandon her children when they get in her way. After she left, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat in the living room with my hands shaking. I could not believe the nerve of that woman. 20 years without existing, and now she wanted a slice of everything my dad built. I thought about those 3 kids. I felt sorry for them. Of course I did. It was not their fault having a mother like that and a father who apparently could not properly support his household, but they were not my responsibility. I did not owe them anything. My dad had broken his back to build the life we had. After my mom left us, he could have sunk. Instead, he turned the pain into something better. He earned every dollar he left me. I was not going to let her make me feel guilty so she could take it from me. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from a law firm I did not recognize. My hands were shaking when I opened it. It was a lawsuit. My mom was legally claiming an alleged share of my dad's estate, arguing that she had contributed to the household when they were still married, and that she was entitled to financial compensation. I called my lawyer as soon as I finished reading it. His name is Eric Lawson. He had handled my dad's will and several company contracts for years. My dad trusted him. So did I. Nicole, I am so sorry you are going through this. He told me when I went to see him at his office. But do not worry too much. It is one thing for her to try to fight for something and a very different thing for her to have a way to back it up. So, can she really sue me just because? Try it, yes. Winning is another story, and even less so in a matter like this. Your dad left a will. The separation was many years ago. The bulk of the wealth was consolidated afterward. We are going to respond and we are going to close this properly. The lawsuit said my mom deserved a share because she was married to my dad, helped the household, and took care of me for 7 years. Her lawyers wanted to present it, as if she had decisively contributed to building the family wealth, and had now been unfairly left out. It was absurd, but even when something is absurd, it still forces you into a legal process. The main hearing came 3 months later. I had a knot in my stomach when I walked through the courtroom door. My mom was sitting on the other side with her lawyer, a thin man in an extremely expensive suit and an arrogant look. She also had the nerve to bring her husband and the 3 kids. She sat them in the front row as if they were the victims and I was the villain denying them something that belonged to them. That is when I understood that she did not just want money. She also wanted an audience. When my mom's lawyer was given the floor, he started repeating the version she had been constructing for weeks. Your Honor, my client was married to Mr. Robert Parker for several years. During that time, she contributed to the household and to the upbringing of the defendant here today. We come to claim what rightfully belongs to her in the face of a disproportionate financial situation. Then he tried to paint a story in which my mom had always wanted to have contact with me, but my dad had prevented it. He also talked about the financial situation of her other children, as if their expenses could make legitimate what was not. When it was Eric's turn to speak, he put things in their place. He brought a certified copy of the divorce, custody documents, certificates, records, and the notarized backing of the will. Everything organized, everything clear. Your Honor, the plaintiff abandoned her 7-year-old daughter in a house for 2 days while the minor's father was away for work. She left with someone else. She did not come back for the child, she did not fight for custody, she did not pay child support, she did not maintain contact. And she made no effort whatsoever to be part of her daughter's life for 20 years. Then he went on linking dates, omissions, and documents. He did not need to dramatize anything. The facts were harsh enough. The plaintiff reappears only after the passing of Mr. Robert Parker, and once she becomes aware of the existence of the estate. The claim she attempts to make today does not hold up against the documentary reality of the case, nor against the timeline of events. Then the judge started asking questions. They were not theatrical questions, they were worse, they were precise. Mrs. Karen Reynolds, he said looking at my mom, if you had so much interest in your daughter, why did you not look for her when she turned 18 and was already of legal age? My mom shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I thought it was better not to destabilize her life. But today you are telling us that you always wanted a relationship with her. Yes, Your Honor. Then explain to me why you waited until after the father's death and the start of the probate process to approach her. Her lawyer tried to intervene, but the judge gestured for him to let his client answer. My mom looked cornered. I found out through some relatives that he had died and I thought it was time to reach out. The judge kept looking at her. Why did you not contribute financially to your daughter's upbringing in these 20 years? And why do you now consider that your daughter should support you or your new family? My mom opened her mouth and closed it again. Nothing came out. The judge continued. Explain to me also why this court should grant you a share of assets consolidated many years after the separation and the abandonment that has already been proven here. And then she lost control, stood up abruptly, and started raising her voice. Because she does not need that much. She is alone, she has no children, she has no one, she is selfish and cold, just like her father. The entire courtroom went silent. Even her own children looked ashamed. I felt those words like a slap in the face. After everything she did, she was the one calling me selfish. She was the one saying I had no one. The judge ordered her to sit down immediately. Her lawyer tried to calm her down, but it was too late. The judge reviewed the documents again, made some notes, and made his decision clear. I do not find sufficient legal basis for the plaintiff's claim. The defendant here today is an heir under the terms of a valid will, and the plaintiff failed to prove any right over the claimed assets. Furthermore, the records show evidence of prolonged abandonment, a total absence of parental responsibility, and a lack of contact for 2 decades. He paused briefly and added in a dry voice, the moral burden you attempt to pass on to your daughter today does not make up for the lack of legal standing. My mom went pale. Her lawyer tried to say something, but there was nothing left to salvage. The case was dismissed. As we were walking out of the courtroom, my mom yanked her arm away from her lawyer and came at me. This does not end here, she said through gritted teeth. You are going to regret this. Step away from my client, Eric said firmly. Her husband came running and finally managed to pull her away, but she kept looking at me with such pure resentment that it gave me chills. I thought everything ended there. I was wrong. A week later, she got my number and started calling me. Then came messages, then more calls from other numbers. The messages were getting more and more upsetting. That I was a bad person, that I had stolen her children's future, that sooner or later I was going to pay for what I was doing. I blocked one number, then another, then yet another. She kept getting new lines, and one day she showed up at my office. It was a weekday mid-morning, right when there was the most foot traffic at the reception desk. I later learned that she had even pulled 2 of her kids out of class to use them as a shield. My dad's construction company had offices in North Dallas. She walked into the lobby with the 3 kids. I want to see Nicole. She raised her voice at the receptionist. I am her mother and she abandoned us. The receptionist did not even know what to do. I heard the commotion from my office and walked out. You have to leave, I told her. These kids do not even have money for the basics. She raised her voice. And you are sitting on a fortune while they go without because of your selfishness. The kids looked mortified. The reception and administration employees, and even some engineers were already watching the scene. It was humiliating. Security arrived and escorted her out, but the damage was already done. My employees were asking questions. They had seen a woman raising her voice in the lobby that I had abandoned my family. I did not even know where to begin explaining. That same day I called Eric again. I need this to stop right now, I told him. She is not just looking for me. She is harassing me. I did everything possible not to get to this point, he answered. But yeah, there is no other choice now. We are going to request a restraining order and protective measures. The request was filed the next day. We had to go back to court, but this time we got a female judge, a woman in her 50s, with that face of someone who has already heard all the lies in the world and is no longer impressed by any of them. Your Honor, Eric said. My client is being stalked and harassed by her biological mother. There are relentless calls from multiple numbers, upsetting messages, and an intrusion into her workplace. He presented everything: screenshots of messages, call logs, statements from the receptionist and other employees. Everything. My mom's lawyer tried to say that she was only seeking to reconcile with me, but the judge stopped him very quickly. Mrs. Karen Reynolds, you lost a property matter against your daughter. That is where everything should have ended. Instead of that, you decided to harass her, insult her, and show up at her job to make a scene. She is my daughter. My mom raised her voice. I have the right to speak to her. That biological bond does not give you the right to harass her, the judge said in an icy voice, and much less after the behavior that has already been displayed here. The judge issued a restraining order. My mom was forbidden to come near me, my home, and my workplace. She could not call me, text me, or look for me through other people. If you violate these measures, the appropriate authorities will be notified, and there will be legal consequences. Is that clear to you? The judge asked. My mom did not answer. She just looked at me from the other side of the room with a mix of resentment and defeat. Her husband looked ashamed. The kids, confused and sad, almost made me feel sorry for them. Almost. 6 months have passed since then. I have not heard from her again. I do not know if she still lives in the same place. I do not know how those kids are doing. The truth is, I do not want to know. Sometimes people ask me if I do not feel bad for not helping them. They tell me that they did not choose to have a mother like that. And it is true, they did not do anything wrong, but neither did I. I did not ask to be left alone at 7 years old. I did not ask to spend 2 whole days believing that something horrible was going to happen, and that no one was going to show up. I did not ask to grow up without a mom, and then see her reappear 20 years later with her hand outstretched. My dad worked his soul to the bone to build the life we had. He could have fallen apart after she left. Instead of that, he did something better with his pain. Every dollar he left me, he worked for. I am not going to hand it over to a woman who abandoned me as if I were a thing she no longer had use for. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if she had approached things differently. If she had gone to the funeral and told me she was sorry. Yes. If she had asked me out for coffee to talk. If she had acknowledged what she did to me and tried to repair things, even just a part of it. But she did not do any of that. She saw money, she saw an opportunity. She felt I owed her something. She thought it was fair to keep what was left by the man she claimed she never loved, after abandoning her daughter. I think from time to time about Brandon, Lily, and Tyler. I hope they are okay. I hope they can go to school. I hope they grow up and become better people than their mom. But that is not up to me. It is up to me to protect my dad's legacy and live the life he wanted to give me. The company is still running. Kevin is doing an excellent job as CEO, and we are even taking on new projects outside the city. I have managed the investments well. I travel when I want, I support causes I care about, I live well without showing off, and I am dating someone. His name is Travis. He is a teacher. He does not know all the details of what I inherited, and I prefer it stays that way for now. He likes me for who I am, not for what I have. My dad would have liked Travis. He is honest, calm. One of those men who build instead of destroying. I think about my dad every day. I go to the cemetery once a month and tell him how the company is doing, how my life is going, how Travis is doing. I know he does not hear me, or so I tell myself, but talking to him makes me feel close to him. The house in Plano sometimes feels too big, too quiet. It was a house designed for a family. Maybe one day Travis and I will fill it with life, maybe with children. My dad would have loved that. As for my mom, I hardly think about her anymore. She is a stranger. We only share blood. Real family is something else. Real family shows up when you need them. Real family does not abandon you and then come back to collect 20 years later. My dad was my real family. My grandmother was my real family. Maybe one day Travis will be too. The restraining order is still in effect. I keep a copy in my desk drawer just in case, but I do not think I will need it. I think she finally understood that I am not her retirement plan. I am not angry anymore. I was for a while, very much so. But living like that is too exhausting. Now, when I think of her, I feel almost nothing. She no longer has a place in my life. I have a company to take care of, a relationship to build, and a future ahead of me. That is what truly matters. Sometimes there are people who tell me I should forgive her, that holding on to resentment causes harm. But this is not about resentment. It is about protecting myself from someone who has already shown who she is. There is a big difference between forgiving and letting yourself be hurt again. I forgave her a long time ago for my own peace of mind, but forgiving does not mean opening the door for her again, much less handing over what my dad left me with love, with effort, and with complete trust that I would know how to take care of it. I understood that blood alone does not create a limitless obligation, and that in life there is also the right to put distance when someone reappears only to pressure, manipulate, or take advantage of an old wound. Comment. I've been thinking a lot about the quiet strength it takes to stand up for yourself after deep hurt. You deserve to protect the life you've worked hard to build. Setting firm boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do for your own peace. I've learned that true healing begins when we stop carrying guilt that was never ours to begin with. Real family shows up through actions, not just words. Choosing to move forward with grace doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing yourself without apology. If you're facing something similar right now, remember that your well-being matters. Taking responsibility for your own happiness is the best way to honor those who have loved you unconditionally. I hope this story encourages you to keep choosing the kind of life that feels safe and full of possibility. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.